Well, the president certainly had his A-team around the table. I mean, JD Vance was there, Hegseth was there, Rubio was there. How much do you think the rare earths deal was? You know, not a blood price to get the meeting per se, but critical to get this one-on-one official meeting rather than just a pull-aside at another event in summit season. I mean, how important was critical minerals to today?
Very important, and there's no doubt that they wanted to have something to announce. They wanted to do something which I guess was in competition with China. But Kevin Rudd's been trying this for a while, as has the Australian government. Like when the tariffs, just shortly before the tariffs were confirmed at 10%, Rudd was trying to seal this deal with the Americans. So sure, it's a big part of the meeting, but I think it's been attempted to get the meeting and to get some other concessions for several months. It's really a question of the Americans' timing as to when they said, okay, we'll do this deal and we'll show that we're strong partners. And that has taken a lot longer than people might have expected. And you'd have to at least guess or hypothecate that part of that might have been to do with the way the election campaign was run, that they were happy to put Peter Dutton in the Donald Trump corner. And so I found it, you know, pretty incredible really today when Donald Trump praised Anthony Albanese and he said, I'll use that in my 2028 election campaign. Well, sometimes there's just no irony in politics, is there?
Well, let's go to that point, because clearly the demonisation of Donald Trump was a key play by Labor back in the May election campaign. And along with Albanese and Rudd's previous comments about him, these things were picked up by the US. Now, I know the president couldn't publicly go after the Prime Minister in the room, even if he wanted to, but he clearly went after Kevin Rudd. Penny Wong said this was all tongue-in-cheek, nothing to see here. Well, you were in the room. How did you read it?
I don't think it was tongue-in-cheek at all, and I was there. So I actually question whether Donald Trump did know Kevin Rudd and who he was. I suspect that is the case, but that was his way of handling it. But I can't say that for sure, obviously. But that's kind of the suspicion I have. And if you look at the question I asked Donald Trump, it had three elements, three opportunities where we know there's been tension in the relationship, and he could have grabbed onto any one of them. And yet he grabbed onto the one which involved the bloke across from him, Kevin Rudd. So that was a choice. I mean, he could have said something like, as he said with Keir Starmer, well, we haven't agreed with them on Palestine, but the relationship's bigger than that. He could have had a little crack at Albanese, but no, he went straight for Rudd, didn't he? And it was a fascinating moment when Anthony Albanese goes, well, actually, he's here. And Rudd was left to fend for himself.
Well, he did look uncomfortable in the vision we watched, didn't he? I mean, he was also thrown under the bus, I have to say, by the Prime Minister. I mean, you don't often see Kevin Rudd lost for words. It was though time stood still, and afterwards I know we were told there was some sort of rapprochement. What happens now with Rudd's position? Is it tenable, or must he go, as Susan Lee is demanding?
Yeah, I just don't. I'll sit on the fence for once, Peter, on this one. I don't think it's as black and white as either of those scenarios. So I don't really buy the government spin that it's all fine now, and I don't buy Susan Lee saying it's untenable, because with Donald Trump, things can appear untenable and then they're not. You know, he is kind of a forgiving guy. Certainly, I know for a fact that Rudd definitely said sorry as people were leaving the room, because one of the journalists heard that. In terms of always forgiven, well, I guess we have to, I mean, I don't think it's in the government's interest to lie on that, so I assume that was said as well. But it is kind of a bit tenuous, and I do wonder if Kevin Rudd next year might, you know, decide to move on, or Anthony Albanese might decide to give him a job like the UN or something, which is a bit face-saving, ambassador to the UN, I mean, and means that he can get someone else in here, because I do wonder if Kevin Rudd's just a bit too damaged by the comments he made 5 years ago. I think he's got the meeting, he's got the critical minerals deal, he's able to point to all that. Maybe next year he just takes another job or heads off into the sunset.
Talk to me about the interactions between the President and a couple of Australian journalists. The reporter from the SMH, well, he was called a nasty guy, and there was a bit of a to-do with Latika Burke from the Nightly over the issue of Ukraine. How did that feel in the room?
Well, I don't want to criticise other journalists. It's kind of the code not to do so too much. But I will say that I think Trump was kind of correct in calling out Latika a bit, because her question was a bit simplistic. She was saying, well, you can go in and just win this war. Well, OK, but none of us want World War III. So she kind of pushed herself into that. Michael Koziol, well, what was happening, he was next to me actually, and it's always a fine balance, as you can appreciate, Peter. I mean, it's the President of the United States, you know, so you've got to get your question in. That was very difficult to do. There were 40 journalists from America and Australia shouting each question at once, Mr. President, Mr. President. But Koziol was very aggressive, and as a consequence, by the way, he's the only one who managed to get 3 questions up, but he was kind of over the top. And that's all Donald Trump was saying in saying he was nasty, was saying, mate, why are you so persistent? You know, give everyone a go. So that's all that was about. I suspect Koziol will dine out on it for a while, Peter.
Look, just before we go, there was an offer, of course, by our Prime Minister, as we tend to do, to invite the President to visit Australia. But his ears sort of pricked up when there was discussion about the President's Cup golf tournament in a couple of years' time. Are we going to get a likely visit here?
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And it actually felt like a line from ripped off Kieran Gilbert to some extent, Peter, because that's how he got his first question to Donald Trump. He asked, are you coming for the President's Cup? So it looked like the PMO had taken note of that. But I think he might even come sooner. And what an irony. I mean, he's had a come to Jesus moment on Donald Trump, hasn't he, Anthony Albanese? Next thing you know, he could be addressing the Australian Parliament. And I don't think we'll be seeing an anti-Trump flavour in the next election campaign. Well,
we'll see, Andrew. We'll leave it there. Thanks for your time tonight.
Thanks, Peter.